Welcome, I'm Paul Mitchell, and this is part two of our video series on ARC and PLC sign-up decisions for 2025 for Wisconsin farmers. This one's going to focus on explaining SCO and ECO and how those work with the ARC and PLC decision. Supplemental coverage option is SCO. It's an option that you add on top of your revenue protection or yield protection policy. What you're using is a county level policy area, which is ARP or AYP or area revenue protection, area yield protection, in layering it with your individual coverage you would buy with your RP or YP. So what you're doing is adding SCO on top of your revenue protection policy to increase your total coverage up to about 86% of your expected revenue. Now you got to remember, this is a county policy, not an individual policy. SCO will not pay until the county loss exceeds 14% if you buy the maximum 86% coverage. And so it works a little differently in that sense. 65% of the premium is subsidized, so that means the farmer pays about 35% of the fair premium. The other thing about the key point with SCO is that it is only available if you choose PLC for your insured crop. So if you choose ARC for a crop, you're not allowed to buy SCO for that crop. This year, with the two dates being different, you will choose your crop insurance and you will purchase SCO by the March 15th deadline. And then you have until April 15th to get your crops elections for ARC and PLC in line with your SCO purchases, meaning you'd have to choose PLC for any crops for which you bought SCO back in by the March 15th deadline. Here's a graphic to help understand the SCO coverage. On the right is your individual coverage, your revenue protection policy for the farm, and as your losses grow, you would eventually kick in and start paying coverage, say at about 75% if that's what you buy, like say a 75% revenue protection policy. But those first 25% of losses, that's your deductible. That would think of that as the individual deductible. Then you would buy SCO to go from that 75% up to 86%. That's what they're calling the SCO coverage. You're covering a part of your deductible or layering the individual coverage and this county coverage with each other to provide a higher level of coverage. You got to remember it's county and not individual losses that trigger the SCO payments, though. So you can see the possible outcomes. You could have SCO pay, but not revenue protection. This would be a shallow loss at the county level that would not be large enough to trigger a loss in your farm, but it would trigger a loss at the county level. You could get revenue protection to pay, but not SCO. The county yield is high, but your own farm has a low yield. Maybe you've got some dry spots, or maybe you had some localized hail or something like that that didn't affect the county average but very much, but did affect you. They could both pay. This would be a large systemic loss, like a drought or a flood that kept everyone's yields down, both at the county level and individually. And of course, you could always get neither of them paying, where good conditions prevail both at the farm and the county, and neither of them pays. So that's the one policy. The other one is called enhanced coverage option, or ECO. And this one sits on top of SCO. It allows you to insure a part of your deductible again, but it goes from 86% up to 95% of your expected revenue. So it's another one on top of the ECO, or ECO sits on top of SCO as a larger band from 86 up to 95%. So what's interesting is you can use ECO whether you sign up for ARC or PLC, so there is no restriction on buying if you buy SCO, you have to make sure you choose PLC. There's no restriction like that for ECO. You can also mix the two together. You can take ECO on top of SCO or just do ECO by itself. What's new this year in 2025 is that the ECO premium is also subsidized at 65%, just like SCO. Last year and other previous years, it was not subsidized at the same level. And so now I think there'll be more interest in ECO. The last picture I'll show here is the data on participation in SCO and ECO here in Wisconsin. The top two are SCO and the bottom two tables are for ECO. The red tables are the acres insured for each of these crops, and on the right are the percent of planted acres insured with these policies, SCO or ECO. So you see the acreage has been pretty growth. It was around 250,000 acres of corn, about a little over 100,000 acres of soybeans. You can see wheat notes there. But it really fell off in 2024. It went from about 5–6% of corn acres and soybean acres to dropped off, especially for ECO in 2024. ECO on the bottom now. ECO didn't start until 2021, a year later, but you can see there's been a slow growth in participation, and it quickly in the last year has outstripped SCO, where SCO, there was a big drop off last year for corn and soybeans, where it really grew quickly, and ECO. I think with these premium changes, that from the farmer's perspective, you're going to see this trend to continue. You saw last year 9.4% of corn acres were insured under ECO. I expect that to be a lot more interesting to farmers